over to you, Tom, for exploring maps. And looks like we can still give that 10 minutes that you had.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you, everyone. Um, I want to say a few thank yous here. First of all, to the wisdom of this group, to all of you. This has just been a lot of fun um, having everybody collectively chiming in on these maps and topics. It really is fun, and it's just I'm so appreciative of this entire group. Bill and Nick and Steve, thank you so much for your maps. Nagi, thank you for organizing this and leading us. Thank you in absentia to Courtney, who was involved in a lot of the pulling of this together. And then one other thank you. There's a gentleman on the line here today named Colin Smith, who works with me at Webster Pacific and actually has also worked on the digital gallery as well. So thank you, Colin. The love song of J. Alfred Prufrock is a depressing poem about a man who feels isolated, frustrated, impotent, incapable of decisive action. Somebody might, we want to, somebody, you could, I'm going to mute folks here because I'm getting some feedback.
Yeah.
Hold on just a second. I'm going to mute everyone. And then you'll have to unmute yourself. All right. Nagi, if you want to unmute yourself, go ahead, but I muted everybody. This is a really depressing poem about a man who's afraid to disturb the universe. And yet the author, T.S. Eliot, is also responsible for one of my favorite quotes, which is optimistic and filled with possibility. And I can't wait to ask the group how this can be. I'm going to offer one thought here, which is that maybe the Prufrock poem is a cautionary tale intended to take us to a dark place, to one where life is dark, kind of like the movie It's a Wonderful Life. And after we've read it, to resolve that we will not lead our lives like that. So that's the explanation I'm going to believe, because I love the quote on the following page, which is here. We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. So I believe, and I think there is evidence to back this up, that we are all built to learn. Alison Gopnik and a couple others wrote this wonderful book called The Scientist in the Crib, and the gist is that babies are little scientists, and that we are all hardwired to learn from the moment we are born. We're I'm sorry, I'm getting a little feedback. If I need to close, I'm going to close my window here because there's some jackhammering going on in the background. I'm so sorry. Of course, it had to happen during the middle of my presentation. But now I'm back. And I'm terribly sorry about that. So look, I believe we're wired to learn, and from the beginning, the infant's brain is able to translate information from the world into representations that experience and then enable us to modify into more complex and abstract representations. And so we're all wired to learn, and I say, go at your own pace, but go. And whether it's Voltaire from the 1700s or modern day self-help gurus, the advice is to go, to cultivate your garden, to travel your journey, and to make it yours. And this is what I love about maps, because we can explore, we can collect, we can share, but we go at our own pace. And whatever steps we take, whatever explorations we have, they are all part of our journey, and they are valid, they are real. And unlike understanding wine, which I think is really hard and takes seemingly years to get good at, appreciating and understanding maps is something where you can see progress right away in your understanding. And so digital maps are now making our learning and engagement even easier. Each each of these libraries have thousands of high-res images, digital images, available for our enjoyment and collection. So yes, you can collect digital images. I've put together a Google Sheet, and I welcome people's contributions and additions to this list. So I'm going to go here real quickly. And so this is a list of places where you can find maps, digital maps, and you can download those maps. And so as I was thinking about this event, I searched for Los Angeles in several of these libraries, and I ended up with a map from Los Angeles, from the Library of Congress, and it tells me a lot of things, but it also raises a lot of questions. And that, the learning and the questions, is why I find maps so fun. So I'm going to just jump into this and sort of show you how I did this and see if it works. So I'm going to search Los Angeles. And Nagi, if you're there, maybe you could unmute yourself and just make sure I'm doing okay and you've been able to hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. And Tom, do you want to put that link to that Google Drive that has the list in chat maybe later?
Yes, I will do that.
Or we can send it out after the fact.
And frankly, Steve or Colin, maybe you could do that. Just go into the curated text window and pull that link and then put it into the chat. So this was the search that I did of Los Angeles. And then I found, this map was interesting to me. I was like, how can this be Los Angeles? It isn't what Los Angeles looks like. And so I clicked on it. I'm in the Library of Congress. And this is the map. It doesn't look that inviting right now. But what I did was I clicked here and I clicked this JPEG 25.7 megabytes and I downloaded it. And then I uploaded it to the gallery. And you're going to see it here in just a second. And so here it is. And what I love, so this is from 1908. It's about the Los Angeles Aqueduct. I love the shape of early Los Angeles. I'm really curious about why Los Angeles started away from the water, because so many cities are related to water, and it has this funky shape. And then, of course, this draws out this a path of the aqueduct, which is huge in Los Angeles history. And so then I did, I made a few dots on the map where there's Owens Lake, the Tinnemaha Reservoir, the Long Valley Reservoir, which is now Lake Crowley, and even Mono Lake, which doesn't appear to be connected to the aqueduct, but I think it must have been connected later on. And so I'm going to wrap up here quickly. I think the only other thing I wanted to just touch on was just this whole concept of digital collecting. What to collect. So a number of people have given me this advice, collect what you're interested in. No sense in not doing that. How to collect, and maybe I can do this at another time, but talk about how you can collect things, how you can digitize things. I did that with Rich Bryman at his house, but there are other ways to digitize. Organizing is a digital endeavor, like organizing your files. And then viewing maps. There's a lot of ways to view digital maps. And I'll just show you one. So this is a map that Steve got last night from Barry Lawrence Ruderman. If you're a Windows person, there's a viewer and you can view your maps on your computer. And of course, there are other ways to view them, and the gallery is certainly another way to view them. And then sharing them at places like this. So I think that's probably enough. I'm going to stop and see if there are questions. I'd love to hear people's thoughts about this map of Los Angeles also, and why it got the shape that, I'm going to put this question back to this wise group. Why did Los Angeles start not near the water?
And reminder to folks that you'll need to unmute.
Yes, I'm going to unmute.
Or Tom, if you want to unmute everyone, since we're kind of at the conversation phase.
Yep, there we go. Everybody's unmuted now, or should be.
Bill, you're muted.
Let me unmute. Bill Warren is unmuted.
After you've been unmuted by the host.
There we go.
Bill, try again. Let's see if we can hear you. You look like you're still muted.
Oh, I'm off.
Hello,
There I am. I'm going to switch there.
I think Bill
Yeah.
was trying to say something, but there you go. Bill's unmuted now.
Okay, what I was trying to say was your map is a little later than the first. Los Angeles was settled originally as 4 square leagues, and the earliest maps are an actual square showing that configuration. And the map, if you look at a map of Los Angeles today, you can see where the east and western boundaries are, because they are the ends of those 4 square leagues. One is Vermont, the other one is over in East Los Angeles. His name escapes me at the moment. Anyway, it's fun to look and see how it changed. Los Angeles changed a lot every time they decided to annex some more property, okay?
Also, I would comment that even though it wasn't at the ocean, those of you that are not from LA, I lived there 39 years, we all know that the trickle, that's now a little bit more than a trickle, was a pretty good, doggone good river, and supplied water for that. What was it called, Sanjay? Something Madre, right? The mother ditch.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And the early settlers were farmers and cattlemen. They weren't mariners.
Interesting.
Well,
One of
the
One of
Los
the
Angeles,
peculiar things about Los Angeles is if you go up to the upper Owens Valley, like around Bishop and Laws, several hundred miles from Los Angeles proper, you'll run into DWP trucks all over the place. So the tentacle that is the Los Angeles Aqueduct is really quite something when you think about how far it goes to keep us in water down here.
I was going to say, how many?
We basically drained the Owens Lake.
By the way, it's
Okay,
anybody pronounce it Z-A-N-J-A, Zandra Madre, which means mother ditch, but I don't know how to pronounce the Z-A-N-G-A.
Okay,
Hello.
thank you, Tom.